Hello and happy holidays with Checkpoint on campus. I am your host, Jacob Brothers, and joined with me, as always, is the magnificent Erica Sadora. Erica, how are you today?
Freaking awesome. How are you doing today, Jacob?
I'm also doing freaking awesome. I see that we're both feeling the Christmas spirit. Sweater gang, I love this for us. But with that, this is also going to be our last episode of the year, which is sad. But since it is the last episode of the year, we're doing kind of a recap episode. So today in the queue, we're going to be talking about the top matches of the year for all of the major esports. We have a whole cast of people coming on to talk about what they thought was the best game for the esport that they cover. And after that, we're going to have a Collegiate Esports League roundup. And it's different in the sense that instead of talking about a game, we're talking about that whole competitive scene as a whole and what we would like to see changed or made better in the upcoming year. And at the very end, we have our Christmas send off. And so, with that, let's have a show.
Let's go. Let's energize your future with experiences that empower possibility. At Oakland University, at the heart of every program lies a pathway to self-discovery, where you'll learn by doing, whether it's in a lab, on a field, or in a community, where you can pursue your passions and be a part of something meaningful. So let's go beyond traditional thinking and discover your purpose. Learn more at oakland.edu/support.
Hello, and welcome to the party. We have a whole plethora of friends here for this segment. Jacob Brothers is still here, Erica Sadora is still there, but joining us is Nick Mattis, Ruben Osterling, and Sebastian Rooney. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for
Hello.
having us.
Absolutely. And so for this segment, we are going to be talking about our top matches of the year. We are going to be running down each individual game. So starting from the top, this will be a shocker. Overwatch. It's a small indie title. I think that the best match of the year for Overwatch was the Overwatch Collegiate Championship. It took place earlier in April of this year, and it was easily the most riveting match that we ever saw, I think. If you remember, it is Maryville taking on Northwood. I mean, even the people involved. Okay, here's all the players in this match. We have Papaya Pete, we have Light, we have Cameron, we have Kraken, we have Halo, we have Panic, just for Maryville, and then for Northwood we have Nos, Dynasty, Seasons, Cowman, Fishcake, and Landon. I literally would like to hug more than half of the people that I just listed. It was a stacked lobby. Excuse me. And in this match, we saw a pretty big mirror matchup of Cassidy, who is no longer McCree, May, Reinhardt, Diva, Lucio, and Baptiste. When you have a mirror matchup like this, it really just comes down to the mind game. It comes down to making sure your rotations are perfect. You have to make sure you don't mess up any ultimates. You have to take space whenever it's given to you, and you have to respect your opponent at all times. And that's really what we saw in this finals. Going into this finals, people were wondering if Maryville was washed up or if Northwood were the new top dogs officially. And even viewers had voted 54% that Northwood was going to win this match. Now, in the beginning, Maryville took a 2-0 lead. It looked like they were going to just finish the job. That did not happen. Northwood started to begin their reverse sweep train. And then in game 5, at the last possible map that could have been played, Maryville had to lock it down. The first round of the finals on Ilios was a little scrappy, but on the second round, they did everything that they needed to. They were forcing people out of rotation. They were collapsing whenever there was a moment of weakness. There were staggers, and Northwood was just simply outmatched in that specific round. And I think this was the best game of the season because it had everything. It had the drama, it had the talent, and most importantly, it had kings proving that they're still kings. And so the future's bright for Overwatch, and I can't wait to see what's coming up next. Now for League of Legends, Nick, what was the best game this year?
Yeah, so I believe for Collegiate, I think one of the best games, if not the best game, was played during the Harrisburg University Invitational, and it featured a lot of nail-biter matches. But I'm actually not even going for the finals. I'm going to be going for the semifinals between St. Louis University and Winthrop. After a close game one, St. Louis University found themselves down 0-1 to Winthrop, which was a well-known powerhouse team in many esports communities, but especially within Collegiate, within League of Legends. Usually a top dog team placing between 1 and 3 most tournaments. But watching game one, it seemed St. Louis University tried to make plays versus Winthrop to put them on the edge, but Winthrop was just there to counter every single time. But for St. Louis University fans, hope was, there because their massive play with T-Sum's massive four-man Galio taunt almost brought them back in game one to get an upset victory. But despite falling at the start, St. Louis University would tie up the series 1-1 in a pretty close game two. But then in a dominant game three with their former academy, the former FlyQuest Academy mid laner Strumpus on his Lucian, basically carry St. Louis University to a really big upset 2-1 over Winthrop. And after this, they would take themselves to the Harrisburg University finals with this win.
Yeah, Winthrop, we know him. We love him. I do remember that match. Actually, that match was a certified banger. But now,
Banger.
talking about the big boy esports, we have Rocket League. And so, Ruben, what do we need to know about the best match that Rocket League saw this year?
So, in my opinion, it has to be for the fall of 2021. It has to be Northwood versus Bay State College. Like this year, the Timberwolves were hungry. They defeated Bay State College 4-0. They were actually brought back the Collegiate Rocket League Champions Division's yellow title. They actually defended it as they won it last year from Akron University. It was amazing because they had their back to the ropes as this was a double elimination tournament on that Thursday night. And what was crazy because the team consists of two freshmen, Tristan Correll and Hunter Wattas. You also had a sophomore, Aaron Cadiz, and this is such a crazy title to defend, and they were able to do it. As the coach, Cody Ellison, pointed out, they were working hard all season. And what was really crazy about the sport, the magnitude of it, as you mentioned it, over 50,000 esports fans were watching it. And it was either all over the world or it was mostly in the country. And it was crazy because they literally watched history as I said before, they defended their division. And it paid off. It really did because they've been training hard all year, as you could see through the clips of previous matches, and they just got better, especially with their defense. So they really deserve that yellow title.
Yeah, absolutely. Out of all the collegiate esports, I think it's safe to say that Rocket League is the most watched, and for good reason. But another fan favorite, as far as collegiate esports go, is Call of Duty. So, Sebastian, what was the best match for Call of Duty this year?
So for me, personally, I'd say the NACE Grand Finals. Although that the game was a 5-1, it really shouldn't have been. There were multiple times that well, first off, the game was between Interdependence Community College and St. Clair College, and ICC Interdependence won 5-1. And that 5-1 does not tell the whole story of the whole game. Like throughout the game, there was multiple times where St. Clair could have easily took a map, but ICC was just there to like make clutch plays that would just completely swing momentum back in their favor. And this happened multiple times throughout the entire game. And funny thing was that even this was a double elimination tournament, and ICC had the map advantage going in because this was grand finals, and they were still considered underdogs by many just because like not many people really knew about them, and they just were able to, I'd say, dominantly, but it wasn't the final score looks dominant, but if you watched it, it really wasn't that as dominant as it seems.
Yeah, and if the College COD League is known for anything, it's teams just kind of coming out of left field, and that's what this finals was, and I love that. But another esport that we're gonna start talking about a little bit more in the upcoming year is some Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. So, Erica, what can you tell us about some Super Smash Brothers this year?
I can tell you everything you'd like to know, but first I want to ask what is in this Texas air? Because every single team that is great at Smash is from Texas. Something in the Fort Worth area, I don't know. I don't know, guys, but Texas A&M and UTD really smashed it out in the championship. And of course, as we know, UTD took the finals, took the championships, and they won our hearts. But there's a lot to expect from these teams, not to mention that there is a growing, I want to say, cult for Smash that's coming out, especially with the new meta that's going on, with the new champions that are going on, and the like ever-loading matches that no one can ever get their hands on or ever understand. Overall, these players have played to their heart's content with all of their skill, and you have a lot of players who are coming from different colleges, different regions to show off their Smash skills. So there's a lot to expect for Smash Bros in the future, and this is only the tip of the iceberg, guys.
And so with that, those are all the games that we think were the best for their esport this year. Now, if you think otherwise, let us know. We would love to hear of a match that we missed. We would love for you to yell at us. So just find us on Twitter. But coming up next, we're going to be talking about collegiate esports programs as a whole and rounding up how we would like to see them change and advance in the future after this.
No, we don't come to play. Nah, hey, no, we don't come to play. Where we walk and where we talk, they know we don't come to play.
Hello, once again. And with the season of giving, we are here to give you our hot takes with a collegiate esports program roundup. So we're just going to touch on the esports that we've been covering for a year or longer and just talking about how we want them to grow or advance or what changes could be made. And joining us is another friend, DOMINIC SCHATZAN. DOMINIC, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Doing
Awesome.
fantabulous. And so starting with our roundup, shocker, start with me in Overwatch. And so collegiate Overwatch, you know, it really is a mixed bag of emotions. It's one of the most fascinating spaces of collegiate esports. And then this year, the most developments yet. And so, for the first half of the year, we saw Maryville and Northwood, the titans of the game, clashing. Maryville won they won the biggest battle with the collegiate championship, but Northwood ultimately won the war across more tournaments. And now we've seen like Bay State show up, and more schools are starting to show up and I guess step up and show that they're real contenders. And then we had Redbird Esports show up. It was a very interesting wrinkle of the game. It was kind of 6 people being like, hey, what if we just showed you that we can do whatever we want with the space just because we're from a different area of the game. And then right before the playoffs of a first tournament, they left. So they shook everything up. They had teams saying, hey, don't play us because we're just going to throw because we can't beat you. And then they're like, okay, cool. See you in the Overwatch League. And so they kind of showed how the space can be manipulated in my personal opinion, a negative way. And not to be a Debbie Downer, but when it comes to the Overwatch League, I mean, there's so much great potential there and so many great teams. And kind of the main thing holding it back, in my opinion, is the way information is conveyed. Because while the scene is fascinating, the information being communicated is not. Viewership is reaching new heights, and still tournament info is a pain to find. Whenever I have to cover an Overwatch thing, it should not be difficult for me to find information and for me to find footage and for me to find brackets. And yet it is. Information will just simply not match up. You never know who's broadcasting, where they're broadcasting. It'll probably be on YouTube. Maybe it's randomly on Twitch. There's no consistency and no consistent outflow of information. And this is so important now, in particular, because Overwatch 2 is on the horizon. If you're going to figure out what to do with your esport, it's right now. Your teams are groomed for success. The team that was kind of stopping progress, which might be a little heavy-handed, but I felt like it was kind of stopping progress, is gone. Teams are competitive. And it looks like that Blizzard is going to be putting more effort into collegiate esports, or into collegiate Overwatch. Excuse me. I mean, they have a new logo. They have been posting more about it. They're like, hey, here's our collegiate Overwatch tournament. And so I'm willing to believe that I will see positive developments, but I need to see them. It should not be Liquidpedia's job to make understandable brackets and results. And so going forward, and again, because I think collegiate Overwatch is a very bright future. I think the teams are only going to get better. The rivalries are only going to get deeper. The drama is going to get more fire. And so I think that Blizzard just really needs to focus on making sure that ship sails. And it can. Just make more information available more consistently and stream more games. Not enough games to broadcast. If that's expensive, just highlight schools that are already doing it. It's not that complicated. But with that's my little mini rant on collegiate Overwatch. Erica, what are your thoughts about the current state of collegiate League of Legends?
I'm actually on the opposite side of the coin because I love what Collegiate League of Legends is doing. We're fortunate enough to be in direct contact with Riot Scholastic. And the only thing that's happening that I have a gripe with is not only is it difficult to find these matches and find more information about these schools, it should be plain information for these players to know and other people to know. I think a really big factor in Collegiate League of Legends growing is finally a lot of the viewership is college students, is a lot of young adults. And when they finally realize like, hey, I don't just have to have this like parasocial relationship with LCS players, I can actually be like involved in my college teams. I can actually be involved in the collegiate scene in League of Legends. I think that it's a huge step forward for any collegiate program, not to mention from 2019 all the way to 2021, we have had some amazing teams. As you know, we've had Maryville be on top, falter for a little bit to Harrisburg be on top for the past, I think, since 2016, and falter to Maryville, and suddenly Maryville losing to Winthrop, then Winthrop losing to SLU. There are so many changes to this program that it's so hard to just grasp everything at once. because you have all of these players coming in from academy, from just being scouted out randomly, who turn out to be amazing players, and you can't ever pinpoint the meta that's going to happen. You think that one thing is going to happen, but then these like awesome kids are like, no, I'm going to do it this way. And there's really no guidelines for them to follow. There's just so much potential in every single school we see, not just from, I guess, veteran schools, but from new schools, and also schools who are making their name right now, from ASU to Riverside to even Redbirds, who are just now like making their, like, putting their foot in the door. There's just so much to look forward to. The only other gripe I have with it is I feel that Riot Scholastic should make, I guess, more rules for academy players to be scouted into these collegiate teams. Not that there's like a total, I guess, difference between these players, but I feel like it would make a lot more sense for there to be at least a little bit of a barrier for them to join these collegiate teams. That way we can have people on the same level, and I guess on the same outlook to what they can expect towards the games.
Yeah, I think that barrier that you mentioned will probably be like the next step as we move forward in collegiate esports, because even like the Overwatch things I talked about is kind of that same type of issue. But yeah, having a league where so many teams are winning all the time is a really good problem to have, where there isn't just one like set champ, where it's like, actually, we're all freaking dope. I mean, it's the best. But kind of on that same level, Dom, talk to us about Rocket League.
Yeah, so I want to say that my beat here is very different than yours, obviously. I feel similar to Erica. I feel like there's not a lot to say negatively about Rocket League, and especially Collegiate Rocket League. I mean, you have Psyonix that's already giving developer support directly to the Collegiate League. They put out an A and a B stream, and they put it out a few days a week, and it's Psyonix stream themselves. So it's just the same stream that you can go to for professional level Rocket League. You can go and see collegiate level Rocket League on the same channel. And then you have the Collegiate Carball Association, which is just an amazing, roots organization that, started with this Collegiate Rocket League, and they run such a tight ship. Their streams are really dope. They have really great stats. They have really great casters. They have great analysts. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much to love in the space already. And the thing with Rocket League compared to a League of Legends, an Overwatch, CSGO, Call of Duty, really any game that you're talking about, there isn't something that you have to worry about when it comes to balance and metas, because in Rocket League, it's Rocket League. There is no like best character. It's your skills against the other player's best skills. Now, where maybe that can be a problem, and this is maybe one of the things that I wouldn't say it really is a true problem in the space, but that can lead to just players that are just dominant over other schools. We've seen Northwood dominate the scene for, a few years now, and that's because they just consistently get the best players, and really there is no like meta change or something that you can really do, like where maybe like, let me throw a curveball at them with, this character pick like you can in League of Legends or Overwatch. It's you have to beat them, and if you have just the better players, you got to catch them on an off day. So maybe that's not necessarily a negative, but that is something that comes with that space, that there are going to be teams that just go on dominant runs in Rocket League for years, like we're seeing right now, and maybe that doesn't interest everyone. Me, on the other hand, I like watching the Alabamas and the New England Patriots of the world just go and be dynasties and run over teams for a while. I think it's very cool. Some things in the space, though, that I'd like to see improved, and I think Psyonix and the Collegiate Carball Association are doing such a great job already, but giving more opportunities to more schools. Currently, we see in league play, there's about 16 to 20 teams on a given basis. They recently, in this past fall, they started an open level tournament, which brings in schools across the country, and it's a tournament that, for the people that miss league play, can have an opportunity to get involved in Carball and Collegiate Rocket League competitive. But one of the aspects of it, though, is that there are 8 teams that can place in each conference that get the same prizes at the end of the open. So say Akron, who did not qualify for fall league play this year, they won the first 2 tournaments, and they were basically guaranteed a top 8 spot in the open, which would guarantee them the same prize as somebody who places 8th. And then it just it disincentivizes the actual competitive nature of that open at that point. Akron didn't really seem to try as hard as they were at once they secured their winnings, because what's the point if I'm going to get the same prize if I place first or I place 16th? So that's something that I think that they can improve and build upon as we go into 2022. And I think the future is so bright for Rocket League, and there's just such a little room for error, like in that they can't mess things up. It's just ready to go, and they're just going to keep growing, and I love to see it.
Yeah, Rocket League is really the esport that should be the mold that everyone else goes off of. It's been running smoothly. They get the proper support. I mean, even the issue that you raised, the fact that you could raise an issue about something so hyper specific means that they have the rest of the bases covered. And that's what you want these tournaments to be like. But speaking of an esport where everyone's kind of on the same level and it's really only skill that separates you, Sebastian, talk to me about College COD.
Well, if you guys probably remember because we talked about it on the show, but a few months ago, eFuse bought College COD, and even before that, College COD was still one of the top collegiate leagues. Everything about them was great: production, competition, tournaments, etc., etc. Before eFuse, like they were still one of the top, most pristine. Running out of words, ways to describe this league, and granted, there's only been one tournament so far post eFuse acquisition, but you could definitely see like there's been improvements from great to even better. I don't even know what you consider even better than great, but still, but still, uh, College COD, it's one of the best college leagues out there, and one of the points that Dom brought up with Carball was that there's not that many teams. College COD has like hundreds literally participating every season, and is only getting bigger now because of eFuse. But there's like one thing that excuse me, one thing that I kind of do. It's not really I don't have a problem with it because it's kind of how the Call of Duty cycle is. But there's only one season a year. It's during the spring semester, which makes sense. The college COD or the new COD comes out every year, so why have another season during the middle of a game change? So, but that's like my one problem with college COD. Besides that, everything is great. Also, while I'm here, if you want to register for college COD, be sure to do that. Registration ends January 6th.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, College COD and COD in general has a very interesting situation of a new video game coming out every year. It's pretty safe to say that most esports don't deal with that. I think, and I think more COD would be a good thing, but I also know that COD is much more social. I get like it's more community driven than most esports, I would argue.
Yeah.
And so I think it'd be really great if they had like their main season, but then they also had like a community season of just community play, something to kind of fill in that gap. So that I mean that's just an idea for me. But another sport that we need to talk about is some Counter Strike, the other shooter. That's very different in actually every single way. But with Counter Strike, it's been alive and well for decades, and Collegiate is starting to get momentum, and it's all done through Faceit, and it's all done through CSL. And what I've been able to gather about CS:GO is that it's enjoyable but confusing. And what I mean by that is when you're watching a broadcast, it's a good broadcast. The casters know what they're talking about. The teams are all enjoyable to watch. The competition is there. You get all the information that you need to watch it and understand what's going on. What's confusing about it is really more so outside of the game itself. There's a lot of confusing tournament names and dates. Every tournament is like as long as a Harry Potter title, and like you can't really like differentiate between the two of what's happening where unless you really dig. But even when you dig, a lot of the links will just take you to places where you're not trying to go. Because schedules for the tournaments are posted on cslesports.gg. It's also posted on Facebook. But even like the stream link will take you to the default CSL Twitch instead of something more specific. Or if you're looking for a VOD, it's not something that you can really find right away. And Faceit's a great program, and it's been used for a long time, even on the pro level. But a handful of the information on there is outdated, particularly for like the Faceit CS:GO Premier League. And so when things are outdated and difficult to navigate, it makes it really hard for newcomers. And that's important because the newcomers is what's going to make the league grow. And so what I'd like to see from Counter-Strike is, as far as tournaments go, keep it the same. It's going well, but really just kind of cleaning up, once again, kind of similar to Overwatch, kind of cleaning up the information and execution of information. We want to get new blood in there, fully understanding of who's where, doing what, so that way they can play their games and get to the championship, right? And so that's with Counter-Strike. Again, I think this esport's going to have a really bright future. I'm excited to see where it goes the next year. But Erica, this is most certainly last but not least, but let's talk about some Super Smash Brothers again.
Super Smash has a very unique situation, let's say, because unlike everyone else who just talked, they don't have an organization. I think that's super sad. No pun intended. But also, you have a very unique set of people who are playing it only on an individual level. You don't really have that sense of community or sense of teams in the collegiate scene. Whereas if you go above the collegiate scene, you have all of these like niche communities, all of these players who are bound together by the game. Whereas I feel like that's a really important aspect to have in Smash Bros. This is a game that you play with your friends. This is a game you play competitively. This is a game you play by yourself. There are so many aspects of the game, and there is just so much potential. And so I don't see any reason why they don't have their own organization. Like I said, there's amazing schools up in Texas, and they already have the Texas Esports Association with Blizzard paired up. So my thought process is, why not have that amazing association with the collegiate teams there? Or why not have this like obviously blooming organization be scouted by someone else? It's just a little bit frustrating. So I'm not gonna go on a 20-minute rant about it, but you obviously have a lot of potential and a lot of skill in these players. It's not clicking in my brain why they haven't gotten scouted. How do you feel about that, Jacob? I know like you dabble in the Smash a little bit, so share your opinions with me.
I do play as Cloud and Sonic, so yes, yes, I dabble. But yeah, I know that even on a professional level, Smash has kind of been all over the place as of recent, and that's only going to trickle down to collegiate. And so I think it's really going to be ambition on both sides of the coin if this esport's going to take off. Ambition for the pro players to find where they fit in kind of the new era of Nintendo being like, let's play it, but not really, but yeah, play it. And then for collegiate, for them to get scouted and work their way up the ladder. It's all going to be ambition and effort really on a community level. And so as the esport is going to continue to get traction, I think we are going to see that. And hopefully we see the sickest Super Smash Bros. That we've ever seen. And I think that's very possible in these upcoming years. But that is our collegiate program roundup. If you disagree with us or have any thoughts different from us, you're like, you know what, Jacob, Overwatch is freaking perfect and you're wrong. Let us know. I would love to hear from you. But yeah, so there's always room for improvement for every league to ever exist. And I think in the upcoming year, things are only going to get better. And so I'm really excited to see what form Collegiate Esports takes in the upcoming year. And coming up next is going to be our goodbye. It will be our Merry Christmas goodbye, as this is the last show of the year. All of that after this. Greetings for the last time of the year. Jacob Brothers is still here. Erica Sadora is still there for the last time of the year across the metaphorical desk. And we hope you enjoyed our show. We want to wish you a happy holidays. And I've said it a million times this episode, but the future of collegiate esports really is bright. I think every single year, I've been covering this for 2 or so years now, every year it gets bigger and it gets better. And so I know in the upcoming year, we're going to have even more to cover. And I'm really excited for the future of Checkpoint, and I'm excited for On Campus and what we're going to be doing with the show. Erica, is there anything that you'd like to say to your adoring fans?
My adoring fans, that I love you guys and that you're the reason why we're here. Please bring some more controversial topics for us to talk about, because me and Jacob don't have a lot of controversy. But we'd like to, open that realm for you guys. But I'm excited for collegiate esports too. I mean, from the only year I've been doing this, it's ever changing. There's so many possibilities for the players, the teams, and the organizations. And it's always a pleasure to be here and talk about it with you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely want to hear from you guys more in this upcoming year. If you have thoughts, if you have feelings, we want to hear them. I know for me, Twitter is the easiest way to do that, at Jacob Brodoroki. But yeah, so we just wanted to say Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Chrysler, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. We just wanted to wish you a very happy holidays, and we will see you next year. And so remember, especially during this loving time, remember that we will always and forever plus ultra cherish and love you. Have a great holiday.